Hey, hi. I know what you're going to... No. Stop. Please, stop. Listen! Some of you saw the title and said, "Hey, who do you think you are, you dumb, stupid idiot?" But listen, hear me out, and maybe you'll see what I'm talking about. I could make a whole other video about what legendary Pokemon actually are, and I probably will, but let's get something straight. Legendary Pokemon, and legendary as a word, are two different things. Legendary Pokemon are Pokemon that meet two main criteria. They are rare, and they are powerful. Other than that, no, they aren't all deities. And no, they don't have to have myths. Which is funny when you really think about it because, yeah. Legendary as a word means she's got some stories, she's got some tales, she knows what you don't. That's why I started making lore videos in the first place, to make legendary Pokemon feel that much more legendary. Which brings me to the reason you clicked, maybe. Mewtwo. To some people, Mewtwo is THE legendary Pokemon. You read about their birth on Cinnabar Island. They're the apex of Team Rocket's genetic engineering. They are a purple cat. But are they truly legendary? You could argue that the research notes alone are enough to be considered a legend. But I'm arguing that it doesn't. Legends are ancient texts. Cultures are built upon the words written upon them. Mewtwo doesn't exactly have that. But how could it? By all means, the Pokemon we know as Mewtwo is a recent discovery. But let's all get on the same page before I start writing new ones. To TLDR Mewtwo's lore, according to the notes on Cinnabar Island, on July 5th of a year, Mew was found in the jungle, after scientists sourced and sampled some of Mew's DNA. On February 6th, some year after, Dr. Fuji and his team of scientists were able to create a new Pokemon from Mew's DNA using splicing. Mewtwo. On September 1st, this Mewtwo freed itself from the control of the scientists with their sheer power, and that's kind of it. Other than places where the gang's all here, Mewtwo has only ever been able to be caught in Kanto's Cerulean Cave. With the exception being Kalos's Unknown Dungeon, which is more of a direct reference to Cerulean than a place with purpose. Oh, right, these two. They're the purpose. Yeah, Mega Mewtwo X and Y are sure here. And they're strong. This is all we know from the main games. Throughout the years though, Mewtwo has been adapted for different contexts outside of the incident, opening up possibilities for more than one Mewtwo to exist. And fans asking, literally how? This discussion really kicked off after Water Pokemon Master from Poke Beach confirmed with producer Katakami that the Mewtwo from the Genesect movie was not the same Mewtwo from the first Pokemon movie. This was due to complications with legalities after Takeshi Shudo's passing. You remember Shudo-san, right? We love Shudo-san. So let's have a proper sit and think about how I can justify not only multiple Mewtwo, but give them a legend befitting their nearly 30-year legacy. No pressure. If we were to take a look at Mewtwo's concept and real-world inspirations, Mewtwo is a mutant cat with alien-like features to represent the gene splicing they've undergone. Let's dig a little deeper into that. Gene splicing, or the creation of recombinant DNA, is when genetic material is added to a molecule to recombine the genes in an unnatural way. This allows for DNA from other species to be implanted into another. However, there is a naturally occurring process known as genetic recombination, where two living beings can potentially produce something that can show traits not present in either parent. This can happen when strands of chromosomes cross over one another during the cell-splitting stage of meiosis. Real-world researchers, such as Lemon, argued that genetic recombination is a part of evolutionary development as ancient as the origins of life, meaning that there could be boundless potential for any number of creatures from legends or mythology to be subjects of genetic recombination. Natural mutants who show traits latent in their DNA. That was a lot of big words, wasn't it? It's okay. I'm sorry the big words scared you. This basically means that there is the potential for the traits found in Mewtwo to naturally be found in wild Mew too. Oh, I didn't even realise that while I was writing this. A slim chance, but don't underestimate that cat. Which, by the way, why a cat? There are plenty of mythological cats, especially ones with psychic abilities like Mewtwo. There's the upstanding Catshid, the malevolent Chakla, the clairvoyant Lynx. But I think if we want to be completely realistic with expectations here, the Bakeneko is our best bet. The Bakeneko is different to their yokai cousin, the Nekomata, having only one tail instead of split ones. They are known for being vicious, unruly, with many superstitions being spread about how if you keep your cat long enough, they'll come for you. Not too unlike the Cinnabar Island notes, is it? In the Edo period, it was said that cats with long tails could bewitch people, entrancing them, causing many to fear long-tailed cats, especially when they gazed at the moon, which supposedly gave them their power. So, from our source material, we have a bad kitty with screwy genes. Not too far off from where we were at the start, but that doesn't mean I can't have this fancy thing that came with my creative writing degree. Creative liberty. See, when I write these stories, my aim is to always add to the canon, not take anything away. Thanks to the understanding that gene splicing has this naturally occurring counterpart due to the power of alleles and chromosomes, as I mentioned before, Mewtwo's latent power could have been in Mew all along, meaning that naturally occurring Mewtwo are 100% possible. Not common, but possible. Perhaps not Mewtwo exactly, though, but the missing link between Mew and the artificial Mewtwo. But also, really think about it. If Mewtwo really is a uniquely artificial Pokemon, how can Megastones resonate with them? They're a natural formation from a meteorite. I think I'm going to save myself the aneurysm and just save some stories for another day. Taking the stories of the Bakeneko, Mewtwo, and what we know about natural mutations, let me take you on a story that will hopefully make Mewtwo feel just as legendary as they deserve. Oh, but how silly of me, I forgot about one of the first steps to writing something pretty okay. A setting. I think for this, I'll take a look at the history and culture of Guyana as my inspiration, seeing as famously, that's where Mew was first discovered in Pokémon Red, Green, Yellow, and the other one that we got. So let the words speak for themselves as I tell you about a creature stuck in their ways beneath the caves of a waterfall. Now let's just dust that old thing off and... Right, can whoever keeps taking out the SCART to HDMI, please... In the arid haze of a southern isle, a faraway jungle village speaks to this day of a blasphemous creature. The elders call it the abomination that mimics their fey deity's face. The children fear its lanky limbs, and mothers warn of their tendril tail's whimsy. Treacherous, dangerous, vicious. There is no recorded name for this beast, so, for the ease of passing the events of the past, I shall name them in their stead. This is my record of the Twisted Lynx. This feline villain had no true image. Village warriors returned from guard with bruises head to toe, telling of the rage the lynx's blows dealt upon them. Mystics would lose their minds to visions of a disfigured image emulating a head-tailed beast. An experience that curdled their thoughts into derangement. The children provided the most consistent recordings of this lynx. A tall, narrow, long-tailed cat beast, no claws, but great paws that would point to their prey. And a rage dwelling deep beneath amethyst eyes that warned the children. Go home. The Twisted Lynx was alone in this world, seemingly abandoned young by fleeting parents. They were born for the longest journey. Lucky observers would watch it for hours on end, trying to quell the fears of their neighbors with quaint anecdotes of the lynx's kindness unto nature, the berries it would pick for the freshly hatched, the families it would protect with their lashing tail. There was meant to be this beauty in its melancholic purple aura. They were deemed heretics. They were deemed unsafe for the longevity of the village, cast to the wilds, where the lynx remembered their faces, and their words were never heard again. Naive expeditioners have long left reports of a mystical waterfall that would serve as a prison to the unenlightened, and a hunting ground for the lynx's sustenance. A minute sect of elders had believed that this twisted lynx was their newfound savior. The Fey deity could not fulfill the needs of their people, so it is believed they thought it had taken to this new ferocious form, adapting for survival. Selection. These expeditioners could find no signs of massacre, only piles where the suffering waited, and God-fearing scratches upon the walls. Nature versus nurture. The very belief that if we have certain dispositions, it can be rectified with care as we mature. That's what it really means. For the twisted lynx who had to punch up to heaven every single day for survival alone, all for their stake in a world that they didn't even know they had. Is this a boon or a bounty upon their head? Sightings, records, biased narrations. None will be more accurate than the relics found on this day. Before me, the twisted lynx lies in a bed, very much in the chamber behind a waterfall. They sleep peacefully, with a fine coat of lavender down their back on a bed of opaline shards. Their bed is made at the roots of a magnificent, luscious green that bears an enigmatic flavoured fruit, verified by my own risk and rewarded with a gentle bite. It is I alone who has stumbled upon the ferocious vagrant's nest. It will be myself alone who will witness their truth. I know they are letting me exist peacefully with them, yet I hide behind crags to not disturb the peace as they wake. Their eyes give warnings as the tales depicted, but not to my person, but to my readers. They speak my language as if spoken for millennia, our common tongue not shared with the village outside. They let me examine the drawings they have sprayed upon the walls. Their story, in their words. Upon the wall was a pair of Fey deities, the kind we know all too well, the kind with many sightings yet few scriptures. In the following mural, one of them grew to a great height, with the other seeming to fly far and wide, returning only to wonder where their twin went. Scared of the creature that lay at their bed, they flew to the farthest reach, filling this deformed Fey with a fear that their image could only ever bring them loneliness. The next image showed the lonely twin clobbering at their bed, digging, finding. From the rubble, a light shone through the cracks that gave the beast fists to defend themselves against warriors who would seek to thwart it, and the power to wield their mind as the words of the fearful would twist truths and build walls. In the final image, a priestess lay laurels at the side of the ill-fated beast. Her prayers of mercy and kindness for the beast had led her to the tattering of her own garbs, and to the depths of this very cave. The lonely beast, resting at their crystal bed, welcomed the poor priestess. In their own words, she lived a long life in the wilds, and was given a funeral befitting her kind heart. I then asked the beast the only question I could think of. Why trust me with your stories? In their words, go home.
Hey, hi, hello, thank you so much for listening to the story, but first, let's try something different. Hi, it's the face behind the voice and the pictures. I'm gonna go to MCM Comic Con in London in a few weeks with Dice and Destiny. They are a store that are holding a creator zone this year at Comic Con, and I'm gonna be helping host. So I'm going to be doing some interviews with creators, I'm going to be doing some TCG matches, and I'm going to be doing some trivia with prizes. So if you want to catch me at MCM, please order your tickets now. They're getting sold out, guys. And I'll be there all weekend from October the 24th to October the 26th. And just in case you don't mistake someone else for this, I'll be making myself nice and recognizable. So if I don't see you there, feel free to throw in the comments any other Pokemon stories you'd like me to take a crack at. Subscribe to see if I do it, and maybe, just maybe, we can see each other again. Oh, that was so bad. That was so bad. No!